and welcome back to our channel. Today, we have a gripping topic that's making waves across the globe. The U.S. Navy's recent actions in the South China Sea have sparked intense discussions about geopolitics and military maneuvers. But before we dive in, make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. As tensions escalate in the South China Sea, the U.S. Navy has taken a bold step, challenging China's growing influence in the region. The strategic waterway has been a hotspot for territorial disputes, and the U.S. is making its stance clear. China and the United States exchanged accusations at the weekend over the disputed South China Sea, after China's military said it had driven away a U.S. warship that the U.S. Navy said was on a routine freedom of navigation operation. According to a post on the official WeChat social media account of the Chinese People's Liberation Army Southern Theater Command on Saturday, the Chinese military deployed its naval and air forces to track, monitor, and warn away the U.S. destroyer. The U.S. Navy said on Sunday that the hopper had asserted navigational rights in the South China Sea near the Paracel Islands, consistent with international law. A day after China said it drove a U.S. Navy destroyer away from Beijing-claimed waters in the South China Sea, the U.S. 7th Fleet said the same warship sailed through those waters to challenge the Chinese claims. The guided missile destroyer U.S. Milius asserted navigational rights and freedoms in the South China Sea near the Paracel Islands, consistent with international law. A statement from 7th Fleet spokesperson Lieutenant Jake Luka Bakic said, "The warship conducted what the U.S. Navy calls a Freedom of Navigation Operation, or FONOP, Bakic said, challenging the restrictions on innocent passage imposed by the People's Republic of China, PRC, Taiwan, and Vietnam. All three claim the Paracels, known as the Xishes in China, a group of about 130 small atolls, the biggest of which are home to Chinese military bases. The Philippine Coast Guard said Sunday that it had sent 2 ships to Whitsun Reef, another disputed territory in the Spratly Islands, to challenge and document what it estimated to be more than 135 Chinese vessels massing in the area. The Philippines called them a maritime militia and said their presence is illegal. The vessels did not respond to radio challenges, the Coast Guard said. China, as in similar incidents in the past, said the reef belongs to China and that the nearby waters are an important operating area and shelter for Chinese fishing boats. It is reasonable and lawful for Chinese fishing boats to operate and take shelter in the waters, Foreign Ministry spokesperson Wang Wenbin said. The Philippine side should not make irresponsible remarks about that. China's aggressive behavior in the South China Sea, including the use of water cannon by its Coast Guard against a Philippine vessel, must be challenged and checked, the commander of the U.S. Navy's 7th Fleet said on Sunday. Vice Admiral Carl Thomas assured the Philippines of U.S. backing in the face of shared challenges in the region, saying, "My forces are out here for a reason." The largest of the U.S. Navy's forward-deployed fleets, the 7th Fleet, headquartered in Japan, operates as many as 70 ships, has around 150 aircraft, and more than 27,000 sailors. Thomas said he had had discussions with Vice Admiral Alberto Carlos, the head of the Philippine Western Command overseeing the South China Sea, to understand what his challenges are to find opportunities to be able to help him. We certainly shared challenges, so I wanted to better understand how he views the operations that he's responsible for. And I want to make sure that he understood what I had available, said Thomas, who was in Manila for a port call. On Saturday, Thomas said he joined a flight from Manila to go out and check out the South China Sea. The Philippines won an international arbitration award against China in 2016 after a tribunal said Beijing's sweeping claim to sovereignty over most of the South China Sea had no legal basis. China claims almost the entire South China Sea, a conduit for more than $3 trillion of annual shipborne commerce, including parts claimed by the Philippines, Vietnam, Indonesia, Malaysia, and Brunei. The Permanent Court of Arbitration in 2016 said China's claims had no legal basis. The Philippines and Australia began their first joint sea and air patrols in the sea on Saturday, days after Beijing accused Manila of enlisting foreign forces to patrol the South China Sea, referring to joint patrols by the Philippine and U.S. militaries. This weekend's incident, China said, proves that the United States is an out-and-out security risk creator in the South China Sea. Beijing regularly makes statements that any U.S. Navy operations in the South China Sea inflame tensions and show that Washington and its partners who keep a naval presence in the waterway are damaging the region's security. The area around the Paracels was the site of a tense encounter between a Chinese warplane and U.S. reconnaissance jet in February that was witnessed by a CNN crew. Then and now, Washington is consistent in its statements about its South China Sea operations. The operations demonstrate that the United States will fly, sail, and operate wherever international law allows, regardless of the location of excessive maritime claims and regardless of current events. Friday's statement, like many others before it, said, China accuses the U.S. of meddling in waters far from its shores and renewed its charge that America is the one raising regional tensions following the sailing of the U.S. Giffords near 2nd Thomas Shoal. The ship is a literal combat ship designed to operate in coastal areas. The U.S. deliberately disrupted the situation in the South China Sea, seriously violated China's sovereignty and security, seriously undermined regional peace and stability, and seriously violated international law and basic norms governing international relations, fully demonstrating that the U.S. is the biggest threat to peace and stability in the South China Sea. The statement from the Chinese military's Southern Theater said, China has staked claim to virtually all of the reefs and other outcroppings in the South China Sea, building some into islands with runways that could be used by the military. Vietnam, Malaysia, Taiwan, and Brunei also say they are the rightful owners of territory in the same waters in a complex web of overlapping claims. And there you have it, a comprehensive look into the U.S. Navy's challenges in the South China Sea. If you found this video informative, don't forget to share it with your friends. We'll keep you updated on this evolving story, so stay tuned for more in-depth analyses. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.